one of the most expensive cities to live in the United States, and yet one of the liveliest places that I've been able to visit, Boston, Massachusetts. So I was able to be there for around 2-ish weeks. I'll show you some of the stories and some of the things that I've been able to do, starting with the aquarium. If you already know me from this channel, I'm big into the sea life, aquatic life, so the first thing that I looked up was the aquarium at the Boston Harbor. This aquarium was really, really cool. It had a pretty decent size and a plethora of different varieties of fish and mammals that you could go and explore. Funny enough, the first thing that you see when you go into the aquarium are penguins, which for most aquariums, you don't really get to see that variety, right? They also had some emperor penguins as well that you were able to see near the end of the exhibit, but definitely cool to just see right off the gate, right? This aquarium wasn't necessarily big in horizontal wise, but it was very big vertically. So it had like 2 to 3 stories, and it showcased a ton of different cool river animals as well. I think they had a huge anaconda at one point, some cool jellyfish, lobsters, other different kinds of fishes as well that I've really enjoyed seeing, that normally you don't really get to see at the bigger aquariums because they want to showcase some of the bigger, more eye-catching fish. Here you can see some of the smaller ones as well. The really interesting and cool part of this aquarium was they had a giant cylindrical tank in the middle of the entire aquarium, and it's spanned like, I want to say 3 stories tall or so, and it has some pretty cool species of fish in there. It also showcased a pretty cool turtle that was pretty massive, to be honest. Probably one of my favorite animals in the entire aquarium. I'm really huge into turtles, I like them a lot. It also, I believe, had some manta rays at the very top as well. The cylindrical tank also had some sharks and some funny looking fish. I don't really remember the name of it, but I'll definitely show some clips here. But it's definitely one that made me laugh when I first originally had seen it in the aquarium. And once you get to actually the very, very top of that cylindrical tank, you actually see some of the smaller kind of coral-ish types of fish and animals that I personally had never seen, especially I forgot what they're called, but they basically stick out from the ground. I'll try and show you some clips of that. Also, near the end of the exhibit, they had some sea lions too that they showcased. There was so much in this aquarium. I'm only showing you some bits and pieces, but if you're in Boston area, I would definitely recommend going. It has some really cool exhibits. I'll kind of share those and save those for when you go so you can experience those on your own. Enough with the aquarium. Let's transition to some of the more cooler things that you'll probably like, which is the Pokemon shops and anime stores that I was able to visit. There are 2 big main stores that I was able to hit up in Boston. They're all on Newbury Street, which is a very popular street with a bunch of different stores in Boston if you don't know it yet. But the first one that I want to talk about is Anime Saka. This one was more of your classic anime store, where it showcased a bunch of figurines, keychains, a lot of Pokemon merchandise like backpacks. It actually had a TV playing the anime, which was really cool. And then you had in the background, some of your classic cosplays for your anime characters and such. But what's funny enough is that I was wearing some Snoopy drip at the time, which if y'all know from the channel, I wear some pretty cool Snoopy drip. And the owner actually stopped me and then complimented on my shirt, and he's like, "Oh, you know, I'm a big fan of Snoopy," and I was like, "Oh, well, that's cool." But didn't realize that it was that popular of a character. Then he actually told me that he's from Japan, right? The owner was from Japan, and he said that in Japan, their Snoopy is incredibly popular. In fact, it's so popular that in Tokyo, they have their own Snoopy museum that you can go and visit. So then I asked him a little bit more about, the store, how he came about it, and why he liked doing it. And he was explaining to me that the store was a family-owned business. He's had it for about, I would say, I think roughly 20 years or so. A lot of different locations within Boston that he's been to, but the one in Newbury Street is the most current one that he's been at for the recent part of I think, last 10 years or so. What was cool about that is he was telling me that his favorite part about having his store was seeing the cosplays that people would come into the store and showcase. And actually, as he was explaining that exact same sentence to me, there was a person that came in with a Studio Ghibli cosplay, and he just stopped talking to me and immediately reached over to the person and said, "Hey, I really, really, really like your cosplay. Huge fan." And then he turned back to me and continued on his story, right? So that was super funny, which was cool because Fan Expo was actually happening the exact same time I was there. If I had known earlier, I would have bought tickets, but it was already later in the day. I couldn't really go to it. But that meant that there were a ton of people already in the streets displaying some really cool cosplay stuff. It really caught my eye while he was talking to me about his businesses, how excited he was at showcasing the things that he really liked about the store, right? The Pokemon, the anime, the cosplays and everything. He really just, his eyes lit up, his voice and tone just put a smile on his face and put a smile on my face as well. So that was really cool and exciting. I like when owners and stuff are really passionate about the store that they have and the reasoning behind it and why essentially they wanted to do it. But yeah, a huge shout out to Anime Saka. Once they exited that store, I went over to another one called Newbury Comics. That one, very similar vibe to Anime Saka, but that one had more of, since it has a comic in the name of it, it has more of the literature. So you see a lot of manga, a lot of stuffed animals. Funny enough, it had a really giant wall of just Pokemon cards. Probably the biggest selection that I've seen just out of a store in general that is not specific to just trading card games. But there was 2 stories, and yeah, the upper level has some pretty cool stuffed animals. Like I said, manga for days. And then at the bottom, it has some pretty interesting vinyls and records, as well as a huge giant wall just full of Funko Pops as well. Once I was checking out though, one of the coolest things that I was able to talk to the person at the front desk was that they were giving out these pint glasses. And I asked them, "Hey, why are you giving these out?" And they were telling me that it was their 60th anniversary of that store being open, which to me is just absolutely crazy. That's obviously older than me, and then older than my parents actually. So it's like, man, this store has had so much history and so much time open. But those are the 2 main ones that were really cool. A couple of days later, I had some free time, and then I visited a couple of my friends, the Fredenbergs, James and Peter. One of them goes to MIT and one of them goes to Harvard, and they were so kindly enough to invite me over and take me on a little tour on both universities, which was really thankful. Peter and James, if you're watching, thank you very much for everything. But I first went to MIT and then I went to Harvard. Things interesting about these 2 universities is not only that the fact that they're really close to each other, but they have a very different audience and size for the students that are in those 2 universities. To give you a little bit of perspective, MIT has about roughly 10,000, 11,000 students enrolled. About 4,000 of those are undergrad and about 5,000 are graduate. And then Harvard is about 22,000 students, so almost double the size of MIT. What I liked about MIT though is that, at least for me, it was a very STEM-oriented university. Very big on the sciences, coding, physics, math, all that stuff was really cool. Some of the labs were pretty amazing. James was able to take me to some of the cooler areas in the university, including a couple of my favorites. I don't know if I have video of this one, but he called it the banana room, which I thought was hilarious, but it was this lounge where you can go in and there would be just a ton of crates stacked with a bunch of bananas that were free for everybody to take. When I was visiting, unfortunately, there weren't any bananas there available for me to take, but the lounge was actually pretty funny to see. And then the other thing that he really wanted me to show was this ramp. I don't know if it's like a kind of like, if you know about it. He told me that when he was touring, that's where they showed him this ramp. But it was pretty cool because it was just a bunch of old chairs, or a bunch of old rolling chairs are placed in that ramp for the specific purpose of you getting on one and then going down it as fast as you possibly can, kind of ricocheting along the walls. But what's really cool about the walls is that they also had a bunch of different paintings of different genres, which was really cool to see. Like, the entire wall had something unique on it every single time, which was pretty great.
This is the beginning here.
This is the beginning?
Yeah. Oh, this is the end, but we can get to the chair. Because I was kind of posted up all those chairs here for this purpose.
For this specific purpose? Oh, no way. That's so radical.
Yeah.
I'm about to bust my brains. It's gonna be so sick.
Feet to break.
Okay, your feet are brakes?
Your feet are breaking. Basically, they're kind of kicking against the wall to, I don't know, like bumper cars kind of.
Oh.
This is charity.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm gonna send it. Oh my gosh. I feel like I have no brakes because my soles are like done. That is so cool.
Dude, this is all kind of new.
These are sweet, man. Oh wow, yeah, there's some more hand stuff here.
Yeah.
Wow. I like this. Then I headed over to Harvard to meet Peter, which is James's younger brother. And then he ended up taking me and explaining his research to me that he was doing at Harvard. A lot of the work that he was doing involves about worms. Sorry, Peter, but I already forgot exactly what specific it was about him, but his lab was pretty cool. It had a bunch of different ways that you could examine these worms. They're extremely small. You can see, hopefully, by the microscope that I'm about to show you.
Here's the microscope. Here are the worms. These are not my worms. I think these ones are like. Take a look at these ones. Let's see. Where's he at? Oh yeah, we got a worm right there.
Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. Let's see if I can I catch it on the, oh, it's gonna be hard, it's very hard.
Difficult.
There we go.
Oh, there we go.
He's going to like the bacterial lawn.
Oh, the worms are alive. I
some
thought
food.
they were like
That's
frozen
cool.
in chili or something. Okay.
Well, I mean, that's
That's kinda sick.
For experience.
The size that these worms are really at, they have this paralyzing agent that basically not immobilizes them, but it tenses up their muscles enough to be able to be still and have you examine them. He was telling me that if you apply too much of that, they'll actually explode. Thankfully, he says that he hasn't had any worm blood on his hands, but you know, that's what he told me. But I thought that was really interesting. I want to quickly talk about and circle back a little bit about a comment that James had told me. I originally had asked him what his favorite thing about being at MIT was. And he was telling me that every time that he had an interaction or was talking to one of the students at MIT, they were very brilliant, very passionate, and they had really good ideas. Every single student that he talked to said they had an idea of a project, whatever it may be, that they wanted to bring to life. They wanted to essentially see all the way through, and if you had talked to them anything specific about their project, that they can talk your ear out out of every single aspect. And you can see again their eyes getting big, their excitement toward telling you about their projects. Very similar to the owner at Anime Saga that I was talking to you about. No, the most people that you talk to, they're not really excited about what they do at work. Yes, they might get paid a decent amount, they might have a really good leadership position, but it's not like you see them light up. It's not like you see them being actually excited to talk to you about what it is that they did today. As opposed to the students at MIT who are there to realize a dream that they once had. Or like the owner at Anime Saga, which had this business that really lightened him up whenever he saw anybody come into the store with a pretty cool cosplay, or having an interaction with me potentially that had a Snoopy shirt that he really, really liked. All these interactions were really cool, and again, all these great things like the stores, the projects that they're doing, they all started with an idea. A small idea that grew into a dream, and then it finalized itself by taking action against that and finishing all the way through and seeing it being completed all the way through. Just think about your favorite video game, favorite anime, favorite cosplay, favorite food. It originally has started from an idea in somebody's head that was maybe a dream at some point, but it is now a reality that we all talk about and enjoy and makes us all happy. So go out there and chase your dream. Make your dream into a reality. Cheers.